Hi, kindergarten parents. I decided after talking with a kindergarten parent today that it might be helpful if I showed you how you might help your kids with kindergarten math. The first standard for kindergarten math is being able to count to 100 by ones and by tens. Most kids will learn to memorize the numbers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they understand what 5 means or what 10 means or what 25 means or what 100 means. So what's super important is that you have them practice what we call one-to-one correspondence, where they're showing every time they count, they are moving an object and creating a bigger pile to represent that number. So I'm going to show you what I mean by counting with ones, and then I'll move on to counting by tens. So I'm using Apple Jacks today. Kellogg's is not giving me a bonus for talking about or using Apple Jacks. It just happens to be my favorite childhood cereal. So I've put some Apple Jacks on the table, and right now I'm just practicing counting by ones. And so I'm going to make sure to move, literally physically move every time I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You might have noticed for some reason I'm putting them in twos, which is fine. 10, 11. Now your kid might forget where they were. And if they need to start over with 1, that's totally fine, totally age appropriate. So I'm going to pretend I'm 5 and I'm doing that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You get the idea. I'm counting them by ones. I'm going to do that all the way up to 100 with my child as soon as they're ready to go that far. If your child isn't all the way at 100 yet, that's okay. That's an end of the year standard. That's where we want them to be by the end of May, so don't panic. If they're good at that, they can do the ones, then the next part of the standard is counting by tens. So in this case, you're going to want to have them count out 10 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and keep them into a group. So I'm going to use little dishes for each of my groups of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put that in a group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got another 10 in a group. And my husband had a good idea, and I, kind of like a cooking show, preset the others. So I've now got 10 groups of 10, and if I'm ready to count by tens, I can practice not just by going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, but actually doing the same moving. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, oh no, 60, some of them fell out. Not quite 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gotta grab another one. This is what's really going to happen in your house. You might even have more spillage. All right, we're going to try again because I lost my place. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now I have the whole 100 together and I have a better sense of what 100 means. So now that I'm done with my counting, I get to eat, which is the best part for me. So I recommend you let your kids do the same thing. See you next time. One thing I forgot I wanted to mention is that it's important that kids understand that a number represents that amount of things, whether the things are really small or really big. 10 is still 10, whether we're talking about 10 pieces of fruit and vegetables, or 10 Apple Jacks, or 10 almonds, or 10 pieces of chocolate. So super important to have them counting lots of different kinds of things so that they can see that it always means 10 things, but it can look really different. The other thing I wanted to show is something called a 10 frame. You've probably seen this coming home from school in some work that they've done. Kids could probably draw these for themselves, which would actually be kind of a good exercise. And we often have kids, when they're counting objects, we have them put them onto the 10 frame. And what that does is it gets them to start seeing the patterns of what 5 across looks like, and it also gets them seeing the patterns of 2s together. And so you can use this when they're ready to be skip counting by 2s and 5s. You can use 10 frames to help. So you could, if they know they're, if you wanted to start doing 5s with this page right here, you could point to the first row and say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and have them point to that so that they can see they are including all these things and not just memorizing the chant of 5, 10, 15, 20, but they're actually seeing what that, in this case, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, what that 30 represents. So that's another tip for working with numbers 1 to 100 and skip counting and counting by ones. You can also count by ones on these things, so they're pretty cool.